Hey, you doing? Let's go for it. Oh, yes. Let's see. Eh, that was weird. Alright. Let's see how we're doing. Okay. We're going to be going over Jennifer as black versus Anna Tatonsky as white. Oops, hold on here. There we go. For some reason the thing moved. That was kind of weird. Okay, let's flip the board and get us a game started. Oh yeah. Okay. D4, D5, C5, 4, C6. So they went into a Slav defense. Knight C3, Knight F6, Knight F3. So the three knights. C takes D, A4. A4 stops. If you're wondering why not this move here, this actually holds your pawn. So we don't want our pawn to be, we don't want that to happen. So you can throw in the in-between move A4, bishop F5, and she played knight E5, which is playable. There's also a potential this move, but you have to always keep in mind that the knight takes, bishop takes, and it takes is playable, which isn't what we really want to do. So knight E5 to win back this pawn via that way. Knight BD7 to attack, and so Anna wins her pawn back. Queen C7, and now potentially E4 or E5 or E6 or E5 is playable. G6, E5 is a playable move because now we got two pieces attacking are protecting. C takes D, knight takes E, and then bishop to F4. So double attack on this knight. So knight FD is forced. Bishop G2 to get the fianchetto and castles. F6 and castles and rook D8. This was in my opinion, one of the most tense spots of the game right here. Move 12 was very scary. I would have been slightly concerned at this point with all the pressure building around my position, but I'm sure she'd still be fine with see queen C1 is a playable idea with rook to D8, and that pins this knight so that the pawn would have to take, I mean the rook would take. So e6 is playable too. Actually, Jennifer recognized a weakness in the knight on pre-c4, so she played bishop e6 to attack the knight. So knight e4, this protects the queen, protects the knight now, and Anna has actually centralized her knight, so that's good. With a potential idea of maybe bringing the rook over and dropping the knight in on d6, but that's not a absolute, as they would say, position for your pieces of, like an outpost. It's not a permanent outpost. Rook d1. And Jennifer spotted that and went, don't think so. I'm not staying in the center to have that dropped on me like a bad habit. So rook d8, or d4, rook d4, a5. Now this is an outposted bishop, and a outpost for a knight later on if something like this arises, if you wanted to. You can go knight b8, a6 to b4, h4 for Anna, and knight c5. This is to trade off knights. Rook takes. She played queen takes. Actually, this actually I believe is potentially a draw. This would end up a drawn position. But you always have to keep in mind that there's this pin on this queen right here. So Jennifer noticed that and then decided to take with the queen to actually get out of the pin and potentially set up a fork, maybe a bishop fork like this. Knight takes knight, bishop takes, knight takes, takes, and then there. So she actually picked up a pawn with check, and then took, and then takes, and back, bishop f4. And this was an interesting setup for sure, to say the least, about this position. This was the spot that was the game changer. Anna was getting down in time, and the times that she has been actually good with time, I've noticed that Anna has pulled wins, so it should help us to analyze if, my friends, you have a time kind of problem, like maybe you think too long over a move and you get into time problems. Maybe think about, as like what Nakamura does, he plays the best move. Doesn't, I mean a good move. It doesn't always have to be the best move. If you could spot it, that's good, but just remember that your opponents will sense weakness if you get low in time. So let's say you needed a draw to win your division. If you are down to 5 minutes and they have 30 minutes, they're not gonna, even though the position is drawn, they're not going to accept a draw, because they're going to want to see if they can time you out. So just keep your time at a reasonable level, and you'll find that your play will be better too, because you won't be so nervous. I only have 5 minutes, oh no, what am I going to do? You won't go into panic mode. It's just some advice my teacher taught me. It really helped with my play. It's brought a lot of actually victories to my position, because the funny thing is, a lot of my opponents will actually get into time problems. One time I actually had 60 minutes. It was a 90-minute game. I had 60 minutes and my opponent had 20. It ended up a draw, but it was the draw that I actually needed to win my division, so it was really cool. And that was really nifty, I gotta say. So just remember that. Just a little knowledge from your friendly chess cruncher to help you improve as a chess player. Queen b6. queen c2, bishop b3. And at this was the interesting move. Queen c1 right here is actually let me see, where was that move? Okay, there. Yeah, that's a potential idea. Let's see, where was that? There. Bishop e. I did some calculation. This was actually the wrong losing move. Surprisingly, this move here, bishop to d2, is actually the only way that Anna could have actually drawn the game, because this forces the bishop to actually trade. The rook slides over, and so you have to be careful, so that if the bishop did trade, the queen would have to trade here, so the queen would trade, pawn would take, and basically bishops of same color, about equal position here, would have ended in a draw. But queen e1 was actually a mistake. This was actually the losing move. It was a blunder. She actually played bishop f2 and then queen d2. I believe that if she had played back here, I'm thinking this also potentially. This move was a slight inaccurate move as well. You can actually, with play, actually play rook d2, and then have doubled up your queen rook, and then had a pretty big time battery, or even a bishop move here would have been interesting, because this bishop stops the attack here, and this bishop's pinned. So this was actually more of an accurate move. This actually could have given Anna a chance to survive. Yes, I know what you're saying, that there is that move. Yeah. But then oops, the king can't. What's it? Why can't the king move here? Oh, okay. Maybe I was wrong. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's still losing. And there. And now it's still losing, so yeah, potentially this is actually, boy, I guess this was the winning move. Let's see if the rook idea actually works. If this one or that. Yeah. This is still slightly better for Jennifer, but and there's actually mate 2 here. Did I miss the mate 2? Oh, that's the mate 2, okay. Because the other one that I played was wrong. And so Anna resigned after this move here, and Jennifer became the U.S. Women's Champion. Are we ready? Are we all ready to do some puzzles? All right. Let's start it up. 1 second. Allergies. Okay. Let's see here. I'm looking at rook takes e3. If queen then could take on c2, check. Actually, potentially knight takes c2. That would fork the rook, and but that actually be a mistake because of rook takes e8 mate, so that wouldn't work. We could play f takes e3. That potentially would hold. And the knight is still trapped almost. He would have to, if f takes e3. Excuse me. F takes e3, he'd have to play b4, and then queen takes b4, knight b5. So I think he's still okay. Hey, how you doing? Hi, Frank. We just started our tactics. Excellent timing. We're deciding between 3 moves. Rook takes e3, or f takes e3, or rook g1. Those are kind of the 3 moves that we're looking at. Rook g1 is an interesting move because I think g6 would be played at that point if we played rook g1. Well, we were thinking rook takes e2 or e3, but I'm thinking that not he'll play rook takes e3, and then after f takes e3, he has knight takes c2 with a fork on the queen and rook. So the only reason I'm thinking I don't know if f takes e3 is right is f takes e3. Does black have enough counterplay with his pawns on the king side though? Yeah, I was just thinking, does black have enough counterplay with his passed pawns on the queen side? I mean king side. Because he would actually have two connect through actually through it wouldn't be three, it'd be two connected passed pawns, the H and the G pawn. Oh wait a second, why didn't I see this? Rook takes e3, right? Rook takes e3, queen takes e3, and that holds. That actually holds. That's silly of me. I should have seen that. I for some reason I thought you had to take with the pawn, but that threatens mate. Let me see here. I'm looking now to see. Oh, we can win the. We can actually win the knight now. Did we just actually win a knight with rook c3 check, king d2, rook takes c4, if rook c8 check, king b5, rook takes c4, king takes c4, a5, a6, knight e. Nope, we don't have time. Knight e5, a7, and we're shy. Trying to. Let's see, rook c3 check, king d2, rook takes. Would that be a draw though? Trying to figure this out. Check. Let's take a look here. I'm trying to make this work because this has to work somehow. Rook c8. Boy, that is a tough one. So what we're thinking is if king b7, if knight d6 check, then we just win the rook. So king takes a8. So king b7. King c2. King c2 is an idea. What am I missing here? What do we play after king c2? Okay, so we play that. King b7, king c2, rook b4. Knight b6, and then what we talked about is rook takes b6. Okay. That is interesting. King b7. Let's give her a go. So now we play rook b4. Rook b4 at this point. Rook b4. If king c3, rook takes c4, king takes, and then we take the rook, and we're up a minor piece. Yeah. Yep. I'm looking at potentially queen h or queen a3 maybe. Oh, wait a second. What if knight f4? Knight f4 is interesting too. Actually, what I was thinking about, queen a3, bishop b3 is actually the hold. He holds with bishop b3. He can actually block with that move. And that blocks everything out. Knight f4. Oh, that's true. Okay, that is true. Okay. Okay, gotcha. I'm just looking to see if queen queen a3. Queen a3, Queen c2. Just looking to see if there's anything. But this actually is an interesting line that 360 actually said, or put in. That's the interesting line that I was thinking about. I don't know if Rook c2, Rook e8. Yeah, this does kind of have, let's see. There. Oh, so he plays there. I thought he was going to play h2 and then play rook that, huh? This one, that move was a mistake. That was a blunder. Queen g3 was a mistake. Now Queen a3 actually wins here. Queen a3 wins a piece at least. That wins a piece. Because the rook has to come up, and maybe it does. Maybe I'm missing something. Let's see, rook, queen queen a3, rook c2. Still, gotta be careful of that rook. I might be missing something here. Might be missing something. So queen. Oh, that's what I knew there was something. I thought it might be. See, yeah, queen b3, b6. It threatens. Then you could go queen to b2 mate. So that threatens mate. That would threaten mate. Well, then the problem with watch, I'll show you. Queen b6, bishop b3, right? b3, knight to e2 fork. Oops, f4. Okay, sorry, I put the O in the wrong spot. So, and then knight e2 picks up a piece. Let's see here. He's one square away from queening. Do we have any checks that we can potentially exploit? Let's see. Any checks? Any checks? I don't see how to check the black king anywhere. This is not fun. What am I missing here? I think d6. Well, d6, and then if e takes d6, do we have a check? Let me see here. I'm trying to see. I thought I saw a check somewhere here that I can actually implement. So d6. I was looking at a check somewhere here. I know I know there's a check for the knight. I had it in my mind. I just gotta reinstitute which knight it is. Sometimes I forget when there's two knights which knight has the check, but I know there is one that will actually pick up the d1 pawn. I just gotta find it. Where is it? Oh, I'll just put this in for right now. Let me see here. Not g7. There's no checks there. Not b5. So this is interesting. Let's see if so knight f6, king takes f6, knight d5 check, king e5, and then knight e3, and I think we stop it at that point. And knight f6, king f5, to kind of say I ain't playing those checking games. I'm not gonna walk into a check. You have g4 check, and if the king goes to f4, you have knight d5 check. Oops, d5 check. And if king e4 or something like that, I hope I'm writing this right, knight c3, or knight c3, and we're good to go. Oops, hold on. I have to separate that. 1 second. I got the G and the different moves. There we go. There we go. Now we got it. Now we're good. Now that looks good. Okay. D4. Let's see here. So now G4, E6, or E4. We have a perpetual. Knight G4, check if king E4. Knight Knight F6, check again. So we have a perpetual there. Actually, hold on. No, my bad. Oh, that's silly of me. I'm sorry. I actually have Knight F2 that wins the queen. Silly me. Knight F2. Knight F2 wins the queen. Silly me. If Knight G4, check, King D4. Knight E6, E6 check, King D5, and then Knight E3 is also a fork. Yeah. Rook D8 check. Rook takes D8. Queen takes D8. Queen F8. And then Rook E8. And we actually should be winning material at that point. I'll 1 second. Let me see here. Oh, that works better. Yeah. Yeah, that would be mate, wouldn't it? Yeah, I see what you're saying. So that is right. I'll be right back, and I'll have you guys take a look at this. I'll be right back. Let's take a look at this here. So yeah. That makes more sense. Bishop d6. Bishop d6 makes more sense. Oops. Bishop d6. Because rook takes d6. And let's say that, well, he does have rook g. He has rook. No, that doesn't. No. If he plays rook g1, we have bishop g3. Bishop g3 at that point. So then we have to go king. The only move is king g4. Oops, king g4, rook g1, check, bishop g3, and then we have he has f5 check though, huh? Let's see. That's the only hiccup kind of we got there. I think we'd still be okay after that. We'd have to go king f3. King f3 at that point, and rook f1 check, and then king e2. I think we'd be okay. I think we'd be okay. Go. Just had to plan what potentially if they extended it out. Yep. Let's see here. This is interesting. I'm looking at potentially bishop h6 check. That's an interesting line. Let's see, bishop h6 check, f4, bishop takes f4 check, rook e3, That is it. That is interesting. Let me see. Okay. Let's see. Bishop 6 f4. Takes f4. Rook e3. Then knight d5. Yeah. Oh, our g pawn covers g6. So, yeah, we should be fine there. Yeah, we should be fine here. And then at this point, I think we all agreed that knight, which knight? Knight d5, it would be a winning at this point. Knight d5. If king d2, bishop takes. Would bishop takes d5 be a good move? Trying to think if this is the kind of crossroads here. You have a couple moves. You have knight d5, or we don't want to we don't want to check with the queen just yet. We don't want to check with the queen just yet. So that puts our queen in firing range, and we don't want that. I'm trying to see, is there anything beyond that? Is there anything else that we may be overlooking here? He might try knight d5. He may try rook d or rook to e1. You could actually play say rook e1 because the other rook can't move because it's pinned. So rook e1. And then at that point, a winning move would actually be queen to No, I don't know if at that moment would queen, huh? We're already on. We're past bishop takes h6. We've already done f4. Bishop takes at f4, and now he's at rook e3. So that's one. We're right at rook e3. We're considering what to do after rook e1. Do we check at that point or do we capture? So that's one thing we have to consider. Excuse me. Do, do, do. So are we thinking? I think it's 95. So 95 for sure. Hmm. Alright, are we still waiting a rook? Let me see. I think we'd be an exchange up at that point. Is there anything better than knight d5? Boy, I'm trying to make sure that we're not gonna make a mistake here, that we're not missing something. I'm looking at all the moves, like what you're saying. Bishop f2 is an idea. Knight c4. So knight d5, knight c4, knight takes, knight takes. Oh, bishop d5. Okay, let's go with it. Alright. I want to see the continuation of this, though. This one puzzles me. I wanted to see how it actually ends. So it was bishop. Look, oh, rook e1 was right. No, it's switching between bishop f2 and rook e1. It likes bishop f2 better. So c5 would be its next optimum move. And then queen e4. rook ad1, c4, f5, queen f3, and then knight takes is kind of forced at this point. Bishop takes, and bishop takes, queen takes, and f4 would potentially be playable at this point with an attack on there. So queen d3 and rook f5. Okay. Well, because now if let's say he plays something like this, we're just gonna have him have a bad move. This actually picks up a piece because of here. So he actually has to play d5, and then I guess bishop d6 is what they're saying, because now we can swing over and take scope on there. Okay, interesting setup for sure. That was pretty impressive there. I don't. Well, maybe. Oh yeah, knight takes c4. It's an interesting idea. But we'd be down 2 pawns, so I'm not sure. We do have queen takes d8 check, knight takes c4, b takes c4, and then maybe rook c1, I don't know, something like that. Or maybe queen g4. Queen g4 might be an interesting idea. that attacks G2. Because we're actually, if we trade bishop takes d8, king takes d8, knight takes c4, our opponent's 2 pawns up. Even though they're behind in development, we're still losing. Queen g4 attacks g7, and the knight still is attacking the queen. We can actually attack the trapped rook when the queen moves. When the queen moves, we have, yeah, I know this is right here. Okay, then now we can actually take the queen now. I didn't think that they were going to give up the queen that easy. I was like, whoa. I thought for sure they would fight a little bit. Oh boy. This is really nice. I don't remember it if it was yesterday. Do you kind of, Erie, do you have an idea of the one? Oh, okay. I'm trying to remember how we did it. I think it's taking on d4, I think. Yeah, d takes e4. Yeah, I remember it now. I got it. Yeah, it's d takes e4. If d takes e4, king e6. King d2, king takes e6, or e5. King takes e5, and I think that's, and then I believe we somehow we get a pass pawn. Oh, I remember this. We first have to secure our pawn. I think I got this here now. Let me see if I remember the whole line. After there, king takes, king e3. Then I'm thinking we play f6 after that. And then we play, when he plays b4, I think we play g6. And when he plays b5, 5. We play f5, and then he trades. Yeah. There we go, f6, g6, f5, and that's the puzzle. How are we doing on time? Good. We could do a couple more puzzles. Some of our fun puzzles. Good spot, Erie, though. On the we'd done it before. Well, I think we got it wrong last time, but we got it right this time. Yay! Hooray! We did it. Yeah, we need that song. We are the champions. Well, the Lord is the champion. He is totally blessing us with where we are, so we have to always remember to include the Lord in all of our stuff, everything. That, you know what, without Him, nothing is. With Him, everything consists. So, let's see here. Let me take a look. I always have to remember the saying that pride goeth before a fall, so we have to always stay humble. Yeah, I'm thinking, let's see, so rook takes g3, h takes g3, bishop takes g3, king, rook, if rook e2, bishop d3 would cause some damage, but I think, yeah, bishop d3 would be a good move at that point. Rook e1, and then we can actually go h2, and king would have to go to h1 to hold, and then rook then we're kind of a little lost at that point. Well, I guess we could retreat our bishop back and threaten but we wouldn't have anything at that point. Oh, I'm not sure about that. So you're saying rook takes g3. So rook takes g3. H takes g3. Rook takes g3. Check. If king h2, king h2, then rook. I guess we do have rook f3 check. And if king takes f3, or h3, Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. I'm wondering if rook takes g3 check, king h2, if bishop g2 doesn't do anything. I think that's about right. Oh wow, he did that. Whoa, that's surprising. Whoa. Well then we have a nice little, I guess, with bishop d3 check, king e1, and rook g1 check. If knight f1, then we actually have h2 that could come down the thing there. So we may not want to unleash the two rooks. So ugh. So bishop d3 was the right idea. So the let's see, rook g1, knight. Oh, it does work. Okay. So knight g1. After, sorry, I forgot about that. Rook, I gotta keep my moves right. Rook g1 check, knight g1, knight f1. Rook takes f1, check. Rook takes f1, bishop takes f1, and then king takes f1, h2. And I think we are up material after that. We'd be up a would we be equal? Would we be up one pawn? Oh, bishop g3. Oh, bishop g3. Bishop g3. Oh, wow. Yeah. Didn't I want to see how this one could. I think I didn't see bishop g3. That's a nice pin there. And then knight here, and then bishop g3. Yeah, that's the win. Because I was thinking about this takes here, 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 but I think it's actually better at this point. I think for the king could come and stop that. So it's a good thing we didn't go down that area. This is the only way to win. Okay, nice spot there. Actually, the king would actually just come over and stop it. I didn't realize that the king could actually do that. So we didn't. We'd be down material. So it's a blessing that we spotted that before it was too late. That would have been a tragedy. looking here. What? Oh boy. What do we have to deal with here? Do we play Queen F8? Well, F3 loses. We lose a rook, so. F3, F3 is queen takes G2. So that would be kind of interesting. Ooh, that's mate. Ouch. Yeah, that's not a fun mate. So maybe we're forced to actually do that then. Yeah. So we're forced to do that, I guess. Ouch. That would be very painful. We're up a whole rook, so we could actually, in theory, give it back. So if we played like knight f3, queen takes g2, knight takes That is interesting, a flight square, huh? So d3. So let's take a look. d3. Knight takes c2. Check. King d2. Knight takes a1. And then we have knight e2 is playable at that point. And I think we're right as rain. So let's oops, I have to copy this in. Hold on. Then I don't have to rewrite it out again. Knight e2. If queen mistakenly takes on g2, we actually have rook g1, and that causes a win. So let's give her a go. Let's see if our idea comes to fruition. Okay. Boom, there's mate. So taking is actually a mistake. Let's see how we're doing on time. Perfect. We could do a couple more. Actually, we'll do Fabi's game, and then I'll see what we have left over for time. Because I want to go over it. It's a Lenderman game. This is the game that allowed Fabi to basically tie for first. It's a three-way tie right now. Come on. E4, E5, knight F. Oh, he's doing the Petrov. I can't believe they're doing the Petrov against Fabi. Wow. Fabi knows the Petrov like the back of his hand. That saying goes. D6. Knight takes. C. Okay, so Lenderman basically did the knight f6 variation. I think this was there was one game where he took here and he came out here, and then Magnus played c4, and then bishop to f4 was played by Fabi. Bishop, I'm trying to remember if it wasn't something like this here, or was it like this? No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't that. It was, I'm thinking here. Bishop e2, queen d2. This was kind of the novelty. Yeah, this was kind of a novelty. And Fabi castled, Magnus castled, and then Fabi, I'm thinking, played like a5 or something like that. So it was the one at the St. Louis one when he was facing Magnus. It was the one he was able to pull a draw out. So e7, bishop d3, castles and castles. c6, d5, and knight b4. Lenderman wants to grab Fabi's bishop and then have the two bishop advantage. So bishop e2 was played to prevent that. Kind of makes this knight look pretty silly if you want to think about it. So c6, and d takes c6, b takes c6, and a3 to kind of place the knight on a not so balanced square. We don't want to place him here, and it would be silly, so Lenderman just decided to play knight b d5 at this point. And Fabi took the knight took back, and then Fabi noticed that there was a weak point on c6 and took advantage of that. Lenderman guarded it with bishop to d6, and Fabi played bishop f3 with the potential idea of if this knight moves, that pawn's under fire, so with an idea of maybe c5. So rook c8 to get out of that idea, because if he had played anything else, like something slow like this, c5 would be a headache, because then you come back and then knight takes, bishop takes, and two rooks are biting the dust. So you have to really be careful. That's why Lenderman played rook to c8, and we took, the pawn took. So now Fabi can fight in the endgame against two isolated Isolani pawns. Bishop f3, or it's not f3, e3. That's funny. Bishop f6 and queen d2. This is to connect the rooks so that he can actually bring potentially a rook over, or these rooks over, and then have the queen come up here and start pecking at these pawns. Queen c h3. This gives Fabi a flight square. Also, if need be, he can pocket his bishop back to h2, like in the London. Rook fe8, rook fe1. So both artillery units are looking at each other. h3, Lenderman's getting a flight square, and then c3, Now this queen actually has the ability to mobilize C and potentially or here and then start attacking there. Bishop b4. This Lenderman notices a weak point on b2. Knight f3. Rook e6 and bishop to d4 at this point. This is so that if Lenderman trades, Fabi would be more than happy to plant a knight on d4. And then if Lenderman takes, and Fabi's the one now with potentially all the control. His pawn structure is I'm going to say 1,000 times better because you have 4 pawn islands. You have 4 pawn islands. This is a pawn island, that's pawn island, and then these are pawn islands. Fabi has only 2, so in the end game he's much better. So d4, bishop e7 has to retreat back. These are going to be headaches for Lenderman the entire game. b4, a6, a4. Now potentially a good idea for Fabi would probably be to get his rook on eb1. That'd be a good idea. King h2 to kind of get out of this headache. Rook e4, rook eb1. Smart, excellent move, Fab. Loving it. Now b5 is in play here. Wham. Or, yeah, kazam. A5, that's the only lockdown move. Now that's become a target for Fabi to take scope on later on in the endgame. If it comes down to a bishops of opposite color, that will end up becoming a target. Rook b2, queen e8, and then now queen d4. This is so that potentially his rooks can actually double, and also the knight can come in too. So now the knight can actually come in to help. Rook f4. I really don't like that move from Lenderman. I think it's a little too optimistic. I don't really see that it has a lot of teeth to that move. Rook f4. Yeah, it attacks a pawn, but Fabi can protect it easily. And then bishop can come back, and now he can reroute his. He has to move his queen. I understand that. So queen g3, g5, b6 was playable. I was kind of looking at bishop, potentially bishop to e3 here, and if rook h4, I might just decide to drop my knight in here. Yes, his bishop's kind of awkwardly placed, but think of a lot of potential the knight has coming in to c6. So, but Fabi chose to play b6, which is actually a good move too. See, the whole idea is if bishop takes, knight will actually take this pawn, and the queen's under fire and pressurized 2 points. So the queen would actually have to potentially run, and then Fabi picks up a piece in that line. So Lenderman can't take that pawn, even though he would so probably much desire to take it. Knight d2, bishop d7. You just take a scope on that pawn. Rook bd2, and now Fabi's gonna escort his pawn to become a new general. I always consider the queen a general. So general is really strong. Knight b. Again, the same idea happens, but even worse this time. Fabi's got doubled now. It's like, ouch. Not fun. So worse. The knight goes back, and so we're trying to see if Bobby can't get some. He's trying to get this b6 pawn going up the board. He's trying everything that in his power to do that. Takes. Yeah, the rook's trapped at this point. You could play this here, but I'm not sure if at this point f3 doesn't come into question with a little bit of a problem with bishop f there. Then if he comes up, we take, and well, maybe I'm overlooking something why Linderman took that. I don't know why he actually took it. He could have just played here. This was a little too optimistic again. I think that was a slight inaccurate move on Linderman's part. Knight f4 to take scope on this pawn. Oops. What the heck. Knight f4 takes scope on the rook and the pawn. Rook e4. Knight e2. Takes. And then in comes a fork. Queen takes the pawn first. e4. And he resigned here. Yeah, the d4 was truly a monster for sure. It was a really wonderfully played game. I enjoyed it. How all of Fabi's pieces were coordinating so well. Eventually, this b pawn was going to become a general. Another general in the army of white would be lovely. And you play here, there, and he's down actually 2 exchanges, surprisingly. 2 exchanges. Linderman is. Let's see how we're doing on time. Perfect. We have enough time for maybe 1 or 2 more puzzles, and then I got a log. We'll do 1 or 2 more. All depends how long it takes us to solve them. Okay. Yeah, we're doing the puzzles again, so let's see here. Trying to see if potentially e6 isn't anything. See if e6 isn't really anything here. Thought about that. Be right back. 1 second. pick up some fluids. Yeah, A6. Okay. A6 was a, it's to actually pry this open. So, I knew for a fact, I thought he was going to take actually. And then I was going to play Queen takes E6, but he didn't do that. Drat. Now he left me in a hard position. I had planned for taking in all these different combinations. Now I have to recalibrate my calculation again. It's a headache sometimes. It's like, for real? Why can't you just play the way we want, right? That'd be fun. Had to get some tea. Let me see. Yeah, I was looking at that. Okay, so basically he allowed that actually the move he played with his queen isn't the best move. I'm thinking that potentially e takes f7 because that's what you got to take with a check. So the king would have to, if he takes, king takes f7. We do have queen e6. We have queen e6 check, which forces the king to go to e8. E8. King e8 is forced at that point. Let me see here. But I'm liking e takes d and e right now anyways. Oh wow, that was the move. Huh. God, I put that. I had all this line positioned. One more and then I'm gonna call it a day. Because we're getting them good, so good right now that I thought it was gonna take us a little longer for that one. But we spotted e6 and that was the, as they say, nail in the coffin for our opponent. Okay. Knight f3 is interesting. I'm wondering what is wrong with knight f3 check. Oh, he moves, is protected by the bishop. Okay. Yeah, that's the problem. Okay, that's the problem. Once he moves, the bishop protects the queen. So, very interesting position to say the least. So, I'm now looking at knight f7 here. Knight f7 seems kind of check. Seems kind of interesting now too. Because that attacks the king and the bishop. Let's see, let's try knight f7 check. If king g6, knight takes h6, queen takes d2 check, king takes d2, king takes h6, king e3. I think we get closer to the pawn. Oh wow. Oh boy, that yeah, there is another check, isn't there? Huh. Interesting. Let's calibrate that. Queen, or take a look at that, or calculate that. Check there, so he only has really one move to go to. Forced king h5. Oh, g4. Oh, we win the queen. g4 check. F takes g4. H takes g4 check. Queen takes g4. Yay! Yeah, we win we actually win the queen. Hooray! We win the queen in that line. Nice. Because if he doesn't take with the queen, it would be mate, so he's forced to take g4. I think we'll stop here. Wow. So we'll stop at this point. Nice job on a 3000 level puzzle. Nice work, guys. Nice job. So do you have any questions? Let's see how we're doing. Yeah, perfect. That's a good spot to end. Otherwise, I'd go over time. So do you have any questions at all? Well, you know what? With Chess Cruncher, with Team Chess Cruncher, and we work together, you know what? And as long as the Lord's with us too, as always, we can't be beat. Even if we miss one, we still can learn from it. But as a team, we're unbeatable. So that's the whole thing. It's Team Chess Cruncher. So do you have any other questions or anything on like the Anna game and Jennifer that you were thinking about, or Bobby versus Lenderman game? Anything? Or we could, if you wanted to, if you have a game you'd like to go over, we could do a quick look at that if you'd like. So. Oh, okay. Anything? You have anything 360? Are you good 360? I want to make sure because I don't want to. All right. Perfect. Well, you know what? Congratulations, Team Chess Cruncher. We crossed 2600 and we solved a 3000 level puzzle. That was really an amazing thing and accomplishment. But there's much more to actually be for us to progress in too. So we could be happy, but never satisfied. That's the one thing, because you got to always be striving for even greater heights. You know, that's what Bruce Lee said. That's why he says he feared the man who has practiced. No, he fears not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks, but he feared the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. Same thing with puzzles. We'll be a fear at the board. We'll be really a fearsome fighting team, like the Turtles. That I know what you're thinking. The Ninja Turtles kind of, thing there. But it is true. When those four turtles worked together in the movie, they were able to defeat Shredder. So. But alone, he was able to defeat them individually. But as a team, they were unbeatable. And that's the same thing with Team Chess Cruncher. As a team, we're unbeatable. And so that's kind of what Bruce Lee was talking about. And we become what we think about. So if we think of positive thoughts and thoughts of the Lord, and that we keep striving for greater things, like thoughts of more and more goals, being happy, celebrating, when you get to that goal, but always remembering that to create a whole nother goal after that, so that as we don't become a stagnant pond, we have a pond that has water that's going out and in, so it's a fresh water where the pond is alive. That's kind of an interesting thing, that because when one time we drove by this one pond, and where it basically rained and the water went over and basically allowed water to come into that pond. It was once a murky, yucky pond, but when that water was able to get there, and now there's a route out, life lives there, and all the it's just really nice now. Fish are in there and everything. So that's kind of exactly like a goal. You got to constantly make new goals, so that there's a route for fresh water to come in, and then your pond always stays circulating of water, and you're always progressing for better and better things. But that's like what Yazir says, with every long journey begins with one small step. That's kind of that what I was just explaining. Yazir Sarwan, Grandmaster Yazir Sarwan, said it the best that way. And we have to always remember that what we were talking about celebrating our victories is we have to remember that we got to celebrate. We got to remember that life is about treasuring your victories and learning from your losses. And remember that mistakes don't define you. It's how you handle the mistakes that defines you. Because it's going to happen. And we have to take what we know and apply it and be willing and do something with it. And we are doing that. And we're all getting better and improving as chess players in our play. That's how come we're doing better in puzzles. We're getting better as a team. There's no I in team. And what I'll do is I'll leave you with one more thought. I always like the Rusty with the little engine, that if you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. But either way, you're right. So you know what? That's a very kind of wise interpretation of kind of what we said in about 5 minutes. Rusty wrapped it up in one. It's all about what you think will come to pass. But as long as you have the Lord, there's nothing that can stand in your path that you can't handle. It just takes time and dedication, and you'll get there. You'll plow right on through that. In the field, if there's a clump of dirt that we have to go through, we'll hoe right on through that and break up that clump of dirt and be able to plant crops there. So just gotta keep pushing onward with that. And there's one more day tomorrow for the tournament, the U.S. Championship, and it's a three-way tie in the men's division. So Fabi, Nakamura, and Kobian, not Kobian. I forgot his name. Dominguez, sorry. Dominguez is also there. So it's going to be interesting. It all comes down to if they all get a draw, each one of them draws, then they go into a playoff that day. If Dominguez wins and Fabi and Nakamura draw, Dominguez will be the championship. Or if Nakamura wins and Dominguez wins, then it'll come down to a rapid and blitz. Either way, it's going to be great. All three of those chess players are champions, so they'll represent the men's division really good, the U.S. Championship in the men's division. And I wanted to shout out and congratulate Jennifer, you, for winning the women's division, and I wish her the best, that she spreads and brings a lot more young ladies into chess, and that prospers for them as well. She fought hard and she won. Congratulations. All right. And then I'll leave you with that. As Wesley So says, through the Lord Jesus, and as I say, God bless. And I'll see you tomorrow on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, and evening. And Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow. And we'll keep pushing forward for even greater feats of learning and improving, and never settling for second place, but always settling for first. And learning when we make mistakes is important. So, congratulations on the 3000 puzzle, Team Chess Cruncher, and crossing 2600 today. Great job. Go Team Chess Cruncher, hoorah, and be blessed, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Oh, and one thing, if you're new and you've been watching and you like what you see, follow and join us on our journey of improvement. Okay, bye bye. Be blessed.